The inclusion slip. Psychologically, when we are indifferent to someone, we view our future as an autonomous timeline. When we are attracted to someone, our brain begins to run simulations of a shared future. A woman hiding her feelings will try to suppress this, but she will slip up using future pacing. This manifests in the hypothetical we. Listen carefully to her grammar. Does she say, "I'm going to check out that new burger place"? Or does she say, "We should go there sometime"? Or even more subtly, "You would love that place"? The phrase, "you would love it," is a mental projection. She has physically visualized you in that space, experiencing that thing. She is testing your compatibility with her interests. If she frequently links her future activities to your potential reactions, "You'd hate this movie. You'd laugh at my family." She has mentally integrated you into her life narrative. The calendar audit. Another sign is the calendar audit. She isn't asking you on a date directly, but she is gathering logistical data about your availability. She might ask, "Do you have big plans for the summer?" Or, "Are you going home for the holidays?" On the surface, this is small talk. Beneath the surface, this is a feasibility study. She is checking to see if you are geographically and emotionally available. If you say you are going to a wedding, and her immediate follow-up is, "Who are you going with?" rather than, "Where is it?" she is auditing your romantic status under the guise of casual conversation. She needs to know if the position of partner is open before she allows herself to hope. The anti-setup. A woman who wants you to stay single will often subtly sabotage your potential interest in others. If a mutual friend suggests setting you up with someone, watch her reaction. She might not object outwardly, but she will offer a protective critique. "I don't know if she's really his type," or "He's too busy for a relationship right now." She frames her interference as looking out for your best interests, but in reality, she is gatekeeping you. She wants to keep you on the shelf until she is ready or brave enough to make her move. She is buying time. To understand the drunk text, or drunk behavior, you must understand the prefrontal cortex. This is the part of the brain responsible for decision-making, social masks, and impulse control. It is the part of the brain that tells her, "Don't look at him, it's risky." Alcohol suppresses the prefrontal cortex. Therefore, a woman's behavior after a few drinks is often a more accurate reflection of her raw desires than her sober behavior. If she is cold and professional at 10 a.m., but at the company happy hour, she is touching your arm, laughing at everything you say, and standing inside your personal space, the alcohol has dissolved the reaction formation defense we discussed in part 1. Do not dismiss this as, "She was just drunk." Alcohol does not plant new feelings. It reveals existing ones. The sober retraction, the hangover of shame. The most confusing signal for men is what happens the next day. If she was super flirtatious while drinking and then is colder than ice the next morning, most men assume she made a mistake and isn't interested. The opposite is often true. She is experiencing a vulnerability hangover. She remembers that she let her guard down, and she is terrified that she revealed too much. She is now overcorrecting to restore the balance. She avoids eye contact or acts extra formal to erase the memory of the night before. If she were truly indifferent, she wouldn't care how she acted. The fact that she is awkward and distant proves that the previous night's behavior mattered to her, and she is trying to regain control of the narrative. The timestamp, authenticity. Pay attention to the timestamps of her digital interactions. We are most lonely and most honest late at night. If she never texts you during the day but sends you memes, songs, or messages at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., her logical brain is tired and her emotional brain is active. This is the intimacy window. Even if the text is not romantic, even if it's just a funny video, the fact that she is thinking of you at the end of her day, in her most private hours, indicates you are a source of comfort or desire. She is reaching out into the void, hoping you are there to catch her. The digital archaeologist. In the age of social media, attraction often manifests as asymmetric information. This occurs when she knows more about you than you have shared with her directly. If you are having a conversation and she accidentally references a detail about your life that you posted 3 years ago, or asks about a hobby you haven't mentioned in months, she has slipped up. She has been studying your digital footprint. This is what we call digital archaeology. A woman who is indifferent will only know what is presented to her in the immediate present. A woman who is hiding attraction is consuming your past content to build a psychological profile of who you are. If she catches herself and says, "Oh, I think I heard someone mention that," she is likely covering her tracks. She wasn't told, she found it. The why versus what variable. You can gauge the depth of a woman's interest by the type of questions she asks. In standard, polite conversation, people ask, "What questions? What do you do? What did you study? Where do you live?" These are logistical data points. A woman who is interested in you emotionally will pivot to why questions. Why did you choose that career? Why do you like that specific band? How did that make you feel? This is deep mining. She is not interested in the facts. She is interested in the philosophy behind your facts. She is trying to map your internal value system to see if it aligns with hers. By asking why, she keeps you talking about yourself, which is a tactic to increase your emotional investment in her, while she safely observes. The silent listener effect. In group settings, observe who is listening when you are telling a boring story. When we speak in groups, the social energy often shifts. If you start talking about a niche topic that the rest of the group finds dull, most people will tune out, check their phones, or start side conversations. The woman who likes you will remain the silent listener. She will maintain focus on you even when the social pressure to listen has evaporated. She isn't listening to the content of the story. She is listening to the sound of your voice and observing your passion. If everyone else has drifted away but she is still nodding and looking at you, she is signaling that you are the primary focus of her environment, regardless of the topic. The average human blinks 15 to 20 times per minute. This rate is controlled by the globus pallidus in the brain. However, when dopamine levels spike or cognitive load increases, which happens when we are nervous around someone we like, the blink rate changes drastically. Watch for the flutter response. This is a rapid succession of blinks, sometimes 3 or 4 in a second, followed by a reset. It indicates a system overload. She is trying to process your words, her feelings, and her self-presentation simultaneously. Conversely, watch for the trance stare. This is when her blink rate drops to near zero because her brain is so hyper-focused on visual intake that it suppresses the blink reflex to avoid missing a millisecond of data. Both extremes, fluttering, high anxiety, and staring, high focus, are deviations from the norm that signal attraction. Vasodilation and the chest flush. One of the most uncontrollable signs of attraction in women is vasodilation, the widening of blood vessels. This is the biological mechanism behind blushing. While facial blushing is obvious, a woman hiding her feelings will often wear makeup that conceals her cheeks. Therefore, you must look at the neck and chest area. When a woman is aroused or highly embarrassed, nervous, which are chemically similar states, a blotchy redness often appears on the upper chest or the base of the neck. This is a rush of blood caused by the sympathetic nervous system preparing for engagement. She can control her face, she can control her words, but she cannot control the blood flow to her skin. If you see this flush appear during a flirty moment or intense eye contact, it is a biological confirmation of her internal state. The self-soothing neck touch. The neck is a highly vulnerable area, rich in nerve endings and vital arteries. In body language analysis, touching or covering the neck is a sign of discomfort or a need for protection. However, it is also a zone of sensual sensitivity. If a woman is talking to you and she slowly touches her neck, plays with a necklace, or runs her fingers through the hair at the nape of her neck, she is engaging in erogenous displacement. She is drawing attention to a vulnerable, feminine part of her body. It is a subconscious signal of submission and invitation. If she tilts her head to the side, exposing the neck, the jugular, while looking at you, it is one of the most primal, evolutionary signals of trust and attraction a human can display. The pack check, the verification glance. Laughter is an involuntary release of tension, but in a group dynamic, it is a high-level social monitoring tool. In evolutionary psychology, this behavior is known as checking the pack. When a group laughs together at a joke or a funny situation, it signifies shared safety and understanding. The most critical moment for you to observe is not during the joke, but the precise millisecond after the laughter begins. When a woman laughs, she will instinctively look at the person she feels most connected to or whose approval she unconsciously seeks. This is the verification glance. She is checking to see if you also find it funny. If she laughs at a joke made by someone else, but her eyes immediately dart to you, she is emotionally anchoring herself to you. She wants to share that specific dopamine release with you. If you are not laughing, she will often stop laughing abruptly. She is calibrating her joy to your reaction because your emotional state is her priority. The nervous giggle versus genuine humor. You must learn to distinguish between Duchenne laughter, genuine amusement involves the eyes crinkling, and the tension release giggle. If you say something that isn't particularly funny, perhaps a mundane statement like, "I need to buy new socks," or "I'm tired," and she giggles, this is a massive sign of hidden attraction. She isn't laughing at the content of your words. She is laughing to release the nervous energy accumulated by simply being near you. She is in a state of positive stress. Her body is so flooded with adrenaline and cortisol that even boring information triggers a release valve in the form of laughter. If she finds you significantly funnier than your male friends do, it is not because you are a comedian. It is because to her, your presence is a stimulant. The cliffhanger texting style. In narrative psychology, an open loop is a story or thought that hasn't finished. The human brain hates open loops. It craves closure. A woman who wants to keep the connection alive but is afraid to look desperate will subconsciously avoid closing the conversation. If you text, "good night," a woman who is indifferent will simply like the message or say, "bye." A woman who likes you will often try to restart the loop immediately. She might say, "good night. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you." Or she will send a meme immediately after the goodbye. She is terrified of the dead air. She wants to ensure that when she wakes up in the morning, there is still an active line of communication open with you. She is engineering a reason to speak to you tomorrow without having to initiate a new conversation, which requires more courage. She is effectively ensuring the door never fully closes. The double text breach conventional dating advice and social conditioning tell women never to double text, sending 2 or more messages in a row without a reply from the man. It is generally seen as chasing. However, when attraction overrides pride, you will see the breach. If you haven't replied for a few hours and she sends a follow-up message, often something unrelated, a funny video, or a just checking in meme, she has broken her own rules. The anxiety of your silence became more painful than the fear of looking eager. This breach of protocol is a definitive sign that her desire for your attention has outweighed her desire to maintain a cool, detached image. She is willing to risk looking clingy just to get a dopamine hit from your notification. The pattern is the key. We have now dissected the human psyche, from the dilation of the pupils to the angle of the feet, from the timing of a text message to the involuntary flush of the chest. But you must understand one final, crucial principle. Context is king, and consistency is queen. A single sign means nothing. A woman might touch her hair because she has an itch. She might look down because she is tired. Do not hang your hopes on one isolated event. You are looking for a cluster of signals. You are looking for the drafting anxiety combined with the verification glance and the mood crash. When you see 3, 4, or 5 of these behaviors overlapping, it is no longer a coincidence. It is a pattern, and patterns do not lie. The fear of rejection cuts both ways. As men, we often paralyze ourselves with the fear of rejection, forgetting that women are experiencing the exact same terror, often amplified by social conditioning that tells them they must not be the pursuer. If she is showing you these signs, she is screaming at you in silence. She is waiting for you to bridge the gap. She has given you the opening, the look, the laugh, and the excuse. She has done 49% of the work. She is waiting for you to do the 51%. Your call to action. You now possess the tools to read the invisible language of attraction. You are no longer walking blind. The next time you are with her, do not just look, observe. Watch the leakage. Test the mirroring. Check the exit velocity. And if the data says yes, do not wait for a written invitation. The window of opportunity does not stay open forever. If you stay passive, she will eventually convince herself you aren't interested, and she will force herself to move on to protect her heart. Do not let that happen out of ignorance. Final sign-off. If this deep dive helped you decode the behavior of someone in your life, or if you want to master more aspects of female psychology and human behavior, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. We are building a community of men who understand the reality beneath the surface. Don't just guess, know.